Anyway, to get the meeting started, we'll go around and do introductions. And initially, if you will just give your name and affiliation, and then later there'll be time for shameless promotions and any comments you may have. So, Amy, if you would start, please.
Hi.
Larry Roser, immediate past president of the Highland Commerce Guild, and served national last year. Mark Abrams, a former board member and currently a director of the Pond Castle Club Foundation.
Hi, I'm Leslie Delgado, and I'm a refillery in Louisville.
Ray Brundage, I'm with the Tyler Park Neighborhood Association, although any opinions that I express are. Good morning, I'm also John Keeling, the 5th Division Resource Officer, PARC Division. I'm here in Boston. Let me leave the hour. I'm married to him.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Anne Liddell. I live in the neighborhood and I'm president of the Charity Family Association. And it's lovely to see everyone. Good morning, everybody. I'm Deanna O'Daniel and I'm owner of Notice. And I have an Airbnb called Highland Harmony House. And I've written about growing up in Louisville, and I'm looking for places to speak about these memoirs, like book clubs, churches, civic organizations. If you need a speaker, give me a call.
Ashley Benfield, I'm here on behalf of Highland Fish Market.
Car Highlands Community Ministry.
Very closely, I'm all with home property on Bardstown Road. Gail Morris, Cherokee Triangle.
I'm Brandon Coan. I'm here from the Friends of Bardstown Road. I'm a substitute for Brian Goodwin. I'm very well. Person for the district, and I can fill his shoes.
Jeff Myers, I'm a sales agent, realtors. I'm also a board member and treasurer of the Highland Commerce Guild.
Dan Borst, I own the Birdwood Diner and the Louisville Tavern and building on East Marlowe.
Deborah Richards, Carlisle Pond Castle Homestead Association and Institutional Memory of the Bardstown Road Border.
Yeah.
I'm Annie Reno, and I'm a neighbor, and I'm Kathy Pellegrino, Sherman Fortman, obviously interested in everything that goes on that.
Hi, I'm Jillian Arrival. I'm a local photographer and I work with a lot of small businesses for their brand, social media, and website.
I'm Steve Bartley, I work for PARC.
Some Meadow Littleton, they the administrator for PARC.
Tom O'Shea at Jay's.
Sarah Harlan, National Council of Jewish Women, and we run the Nearly New Shop.
John Chamberlain, Ancient Order, Hibernian, St. Patrick's Parade.
And where these Dal Dwyer, the Commonwealth President of the Ancient Order Hibernians and the St. Patrick's Parade Board.
All right. Thanks, everyone, for joining us this morning. And as we navigate the many ways to make the Highlands a better place to live, work, and play. One person who has his finger very firmly on the pulse of the Highlands is our council person, Ben Reno-Weber. Ben, could you come on up and give us some latest updates and maybe as well as the Mid-City Mall situation?
Thanks so much. Always glad to be here among this fine group and lovely to see such a turnout for today. This is what our friend Ray Brundage likes to talk about as little D democracy. and it is definitely the best part of what we get to do. It has not been a boring month in the Highlands for lots of things. So I'm going to talk a little bit today about Mid-City Mall and the community meetings we've had about that. I'm going to talk about some of the summer plans along Bardstown Road and the conversations we've been having with ABC and LMPD. I'm going to talk very briefly about Big Rock and our parks. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the pop-up dance parties that we have had all over the city. I'm so glad to share the wealth from what originated, as so many cool and unique things do, or not so cool and unique things do, originated in the Highlands and now popped up all around. Is there anything else that we want to be sure we have on the agenda for the next couple of minutes? For me? Okay, great. So we had 2 great community listening sessions about the future of Mid-City Mall. We got a lot of really good feedback from community members. Just to be sure everyone understands, we are doing this in advance of any idea of who is going to purchase this property. We know it is for sale, but the goal is that whoever comes in to develop that property in its next phase understands going in what some of the concerns and aspirations and ideas of the neighbors are, so that everybody comes in with their eyes wide open. There are no surprises. Nothing comes in and is like, chunk, now react to this. So those sessions were vibrant and wonderful. I mean, we packed Shelby Park Library to the gills both times. We heard a number of things very consistently, and shout out to our friend Ray for taking great notes, way better than the AI note takers. We heard very consistently we want a grocery store. We heard very consistently that we want a library nearby, if not in the building. We heard very consistently that we want mixed use, that whatever comes in there should be a combination of residential and commercial development. We also heard very clearly that we want some portion of that to be affordable for the people that work in this neighborhood. And we heard that we want to protect the park that is there. Beyond that, there was a lot of divergent opinions, and that's wonderful. You know, what I have said consistently is that we're looking for a distribution of dissatisfaction. So what we know is going to happen is that whenever an offer is made and accepted, then whatever developer is, we're going to engage with them deeply. We want them to know and have an organized front door. Our office is going to organize that front door so that there is a clear and consistent voice. We will have multiple more opportunities for community engagement, and I'm just deeply grateful to everyone that has been involved to this point. Thinking about the pop-up dance parties that we were a little bit surprised by the first one, but I will say that the response was great, peaceful, and shout out to LMPD and ABC for their response. You know, people parked their cars on the sidewalks, blasted music super loud at 2 a.m, and from the first call to 911 until the streets were clear was 43 minutes. Yeah. So with, you know, honestly, like the calm nature of that response, people left in a relatively orderly fashion. That first weekend, there were no citations issued. The second weekend, we were much more prepared, not wanting to see this become a regular event. And again, a crowd assembled very quickly. And within half an hour, everyone was gone. There were several citations, a number of arrests, and the third weekend didn't happen. So yeah, exactly. Now they moved to other places, but again, you know, what we got out of that, thinking about the longer term plans for the summer, was a real recognition that Bardstown Road is different than the rest of the neighborhood, needs to be patrolled and policed differently. So what we've had a number of conversations with the mayor's office, with ABC, with LMPD, with business owners. If you go down Bardstown Road on the weekends, you will see LMPD officers mustering there, or what forget what it's called. What's it called when you come on shift?
You can call it mustering.
Okay, I'll call it mustering, but it's wrong. I know that I'm wrong. I could just acknowledge that. At the beginning of their shifts on weekends, there's a foot presence. You'll see additional parking lots that have been blocked off. We've gotten almost complete what's called like essentially a preemptive warrant for police officers to enforce trespassing on almost every business along the corridor so that they don't have to then call owners. We convene the owners of those businesses who have been incredibly cooperative, because everybody wants a Bardstown Road that is welcoming to people who want to be customers, and behave and be respectful of the neighbors. So we are going to see an increased police presence patrolling. We're going to see increased cameras and police cars parked along Bardstown Road, which will give us increased camera presence. There's a couple of other things that we're working on that are specific to this summer, but just note that there is a lot of momentum around what it is that we're going to be doing in those after hours. There's some conversations again around closing times and some options both in Frankfurt, which is new. An interesting way that we could go about this to enable us to say maybe just this area could be different zoning. We're also going to lay out the possibilities of going moist. I don't want to do that because I think what we can get is, which means restricting alcohol sales for certain to the levels of food consumption. That's not a path I really want to go. I really want to do this as, you know, hey, let's all get together and do this in a voluntary and engaged way. So we're getting lots of great progress. I feel like we've got community groups aligned, and that's great. We have seen last year, we had a lot of traffic through our parks in Big Rock, which is wonderful in this ridiculous and oppressive heat. We want to have parks that are welcome for people who want to cool off and just have a place to hang out. We want, again, for the people who are using those spaces, those common spaces, to be respectful and help us to preserve them. So last year, we did a lot of outreach, flyered with people about where they're allowed to park, other possibilities. Hey, you can't light campfires here. You can't drink in our parks. So we did that last year. We're starting that again this year and we're also going to be doing more work. We did really well at the very beginning of the summer, and then we had a weekend where we just had a lot of trash all over mostly Big Rock, but some of the other parks as well. So we're engaging the ambassadors program to come help us with that, to do the cleanup, but also getting preemptive around just engaging the neighbors and being like, hey, you can't drink here. So I will be down there for part of Big Rock with the District 8 dog Momo. We will be in multiple languages explaining to people what they're allowed to do and not do. We've got flyers, and we're working closely with Olmsted Parks and their brilliant new director to make that as the kind of space that we want it to be. So I think those are the big things. We continue to be excited about all of the businesses that are moving into Bardstown Road. So excited to hear some of those. Property owners who are looking for tenants and entrepreneurs, we would love to be a part of that process with you. So if you have a vacant property on Bardstown Road and are looking for tenants, let us know, because we are in regular contact with entrepreneurs who are interested. So let's see if we can serve that brokering function. And thank you so much to the Highland Commerce Guild for hosting us. Can I take questions, or should we let it go? Any questions or additional things? Mr. Brendan.
I mentioned it's a little outside this area, but the Joe Creason.
Oh, yeah. Just to add another, we had a lovely community session about the future of Joe Creason Park. There were a number of suggestions made. I want to give a shout out to my colleague, Josie Raymond, who has been similarly trying to be out ahead of the community engagement process for what's next there. You know, we're hoping that what ends up on the slab that is next to the tennis center is something that is multi-use and fun. We heard some great suggestions at the community meeting. We heard some hilarious suggestions that I probably are not going to happen, but I love when people dream. We want Louisville to be a city where people can dream big stuff. And we got a lot of engagement from city officials. The new head of Olmsted was there. The head of Parks was there. Deputy mayor was there. Like, people are listening. And I just appreciate they're listening because people are active. So that's excellent. Anything else? All right, I'll be around. Be nice to my mother.
Thank you, Ben. Lots of great information. And also another agency or person who has their finger on the pulse of the Highlands is LMPD. And we have Officer John Keeling here, which will give us a little bit of a safety update on the Highlands.
Thank you, Nick.
Good morning, and I'll be brief. I am John Keeling, the 5th Division Resource Officer. We are a liaison between the police department and the citizens and business owners that we are sworn to protect. So please use us. I have cards with me, my cell phone number's on it. Please use it. Help me to justify my existence. Councilman Weber covered a lot of things I was going to cover. Thank you, sir. So we'll save some time there. Just let me assure you that the ongoing waterfront police security, which is along River Road there in the park, will continue, but it's been merged also with extra officers who will be responding to anything that may happen at any of our hotspots, the Bardstown Road corridor, waterfront. They will go mobiles as needed. So that's going to continue through the summer. We are on top of things on Bardstown Road. Thanks to Councilman Weber. We have special parking for the police after 10 o'clock, which helps us place cars there and also officers and the cameras that go with them to watch things. So that's a big help. And he mentioned something that I want to reiterate is the cooperation we got from the Bardstown Road businesses on this trespass waivers has been outstanding. We are so grateful for them to let us help them. I also have those cards with me for anyone who would like to set themselves up with a new trespass waiver. And what that is, a document that we keep on file, signed and notarized by you folks, whereas we can run off or arrest someone who's on your private property. That gives us your permission to do that. Please don't fear that. We are not going to go lying in wait. We're not going to go storming onto your property just to look for an arrest. We will be responsive to that. If you have a chronic person bothering your property or your customers or tenants, we can help with that. So I've got those cards with me as well. It's a QR code. Step by step is very easy. Please utilize that. Let us help you. The only other thing I'd like to say is the 5th Division officers are behind your businesses. We want you to thrive. We're not there to keep any business away. One of the things I get the most from the folks I talk to almost daily is, I don't want to keep calling you about the same thing. We want you to call us about the same thing. We can't be everywhere all the time. I don't like to mention the shortage because you keep hearing that, but we got a personnel shortage. And because of that, we can't be in a lot of places when we need to be. We have to prioritize our runs, take the most important ones first. Eventually we'll get to you, but please keep calling it in so we know what's going on out there, because you are our eyes and ears when we're not there. Are there any issues y'all might want to address while I'm standing here? Yes, sir.
Thought process behind not citing and arresting people at these gatherings?
I can only speak for when I've been involved. Again, sorry. Depends on how many cops we have working for that shift at the time. Depends on the age of the offenders. If they're juveniles, you know what that's about. If I need to explain that, I will. We try to release them to their parents. Can't always get a hold of the parents. I think we still have a place downtown where we can house them temporarily to get parental guidance or parental custody handled. As far as not making arrests, we want compliance rather than us having to cite or arrest people. Like Councilman Weber mentioned, we got a little surprised the first time on the dance parties. Second time we did cite and arrest. So the word has gotten out, and just so you know, word's gotten out there, we're not going to tolerate it. We do monitor social media, and we try to stay ahead of it. And sometimes we know where they're going to be and when, and we handle it accordingly. We can't always get it because they're on their phones and on their computers 24/7, and we're not. But when we got a weekend coming up, we try to stay ahead of it, and we watch things, and the respective divisions are sent out to handle it. Did I answer?
One other piece, we did talk a lot about citing people for open container, because that's part of the issue is people standing out front and I think there was a training that came in anticipation of that on how to do those citations.
Correct. Yes, sir.
We will be increasing that because that's one of the real issues, people just drinking outside the bars. We have to have less tolerance for that. We're also going to be doing some interesting things with DUI, more to come.
Yeah, we just had some training on the street racing as well, how to handle that and be effective. And that has been very effective. Thanks to the council for helping us.
See that. And that's very
Yeah.
That if you look like one of the biggest issues 2 years ago when I came in was all this drag racing around, and we have had much less of it.
Yeah. Pertaining to your question, to finish off, we do still have problems at space at the jail. So if we can, that's why we've preferred to run off or cite trespassers rather than arrest them. Because it is a chronic problem, especially in this area, because we do have a number of unhoused folks. We have our share for sure. So that is another issue. Did I answer your question? If that wasn't enough, ask.
I think it's very acceptable for some others.
Yeah, well,
And I know this has been going on for many years because my business is no bull. I dealt with street parties and nothing was done for years now. I'm glad they're being addressed here, but clearly the message is not getting out to the young community that this isn't acceptable when we see them just move. And I mean, the reality of being young and dumb, and I've been there, and if there's not consequences, then we're just gonna be playing whack-a-mole, and that's expensive.
yeah, I agree with that.
And it's putting off inevitable time where it'll have to be dealt with consequences.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
But one of the responsibilities of the division resource officers is, I'll give you an example. If we have a problem Airbnb and they're renting it out to rowdy folks every weekend and it's bothering the neighbors, we can step in, we go right to the owners or right to the management of that property and we build a case.
It's funny you say that. A friend of mine had his Airbnb rented, or not broken into, and they threw a pop-up party and no restaurant at the frontage. So they just scattered the crowd.
They just disperse them. Yeah. Yeah, that happens. And again, it goes back to the staffing shortages. When we take a juvenile into our custody, that juvenile is our responsibility until the very end, till we put them somewhere else or have that parent come and get them. And that ties up the police, really does, especially on the weekend. Yes, sir.
Can parents be held responsible for the actions of their children?
That's a hard thing to do. It's a hard thing to do. We can't penalize them for being bad parents unless it's neglect or abuse, and that lies in the courts. Anything else from anyone? Last thing, thank you all for involving us in your meeting. We do appreciate it. And I commend all of you all for caring enough to take time and come in here and meet every month. And it means a lot. It says a lot for you. So thank you all again.
Thank you so much, John. Safety is such an important issue in the Highlands, and we love having LMPD at our meetings and on board, so to speak. Moving on to the next subject. Parking in the Highlands is probably one of the most talked about issues. Kind of raises the question, how do we make the best of what we have? So we have two guest speakers today that are going to talk about that. Each one will give their own perspective. And first, we did have Brian Goodwin scheduled. Some of you may be familiar with Brian Goodwin. He's a local developer and property owner of several bars and restaurants, but he was not able to make it. And in his place, we have Brandon Coan, who will speak, I think, on behalf of the Friends of Bardstown Road. So Brandon, if you would come on up, please.
Spoke first, since they sort of have a proposal for some change in public
Sure.
facts than my group does.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, with PARC, we have, make sure I get this name right, Sean Zetta. Not an easy name, but a great name. PARC, as you know, is also known as Parking Authority of River City. And they are the metro agency that manages all of the public parking spots in Louisville. And that includes, I think, about 5,000 metered spaces on the streets, and that's citywide, and a portion of those are in the Highlands. And Sean Zetta is going to talk about the parking meters in the Highlands and maybe a recent study that shows what your results show. Please welcome Sean Zetta.
Thank you. And as he stated, I'm Shanzetta Littleton of the Parking Authority, and I can piggyback a little on Ben and what Officer John said. Part of our help to the Bardstown Road community was to set aside those spaces for the officers to be more present, to give official parking. And sometimes the presence of a vehicle or officers are deterrents. So we're here trying to help those things. We are also establishing with Uber and Lyft, like drop zones, rideshare zones, where they can pick up patrons from the bars off of Bardstown Road. One of the streets is Christie, actually on Highland, where the Uber riders will be facing away from Bardstown Road to deter some of the traffic that is going on to Bardstown Road to help in that. I know there's a lot of questions about adding additional parking meters in the area. Highlands has metered parking all up and down Bardstown Road in different places. We are changing some of the meters to pay stations, but there is already metered parking all up and through the corridor. I don't know if you have questions. That the spaces for our officers and the ride shares are two of the biggest things that we're doing to try to help in this area. And then I'm open for questions. The study, if you wanted me to bring up the study was just how much parking. We do a study to see where people are parking the most, how long they're sitting there. Different things like that are done in our parking studies. Did anyone have
Does PARC have any plans to add additional meters in the Highlands, and how do you all make that decision that you do decide to add additional parking meters?
If we do add additional meters, it would be based on the study and where people are parking the most, or mostly in an area where, say, someone has parked all day and not moved, or where we're citing people to curb that, like illegal parking, I would say, holding up spaces. So like if you don't have a meter in front of your business and someone's parking there all day, but it's not a customer, that affects your business. So that's what the study is doing. It was doing the turnover rate for certain areas. So that's what we're looking at as to add a meter. A meter parking actually helps businesses because it does that turnover rate. So where you think we're taking up parking and charging, we're not. We're helping the business because most of the time it's employees that are parking in these areas. It's not your patrons. So you're not getting as much turnover as you possibly would because an employee 2 businesses down has parked in front of your establishment all day.
I have a question from somebody online.
Okay.
From Sean Riley. And he says most cities have 100% parking meter coverage, commercial corridor similar to Bardstown Road, and those cities run meters till bar closing time. What can be done to ensure the Highlands not only has 100% parking meter coverage, that meters and enforcement run till bar closing?
That's something you're gonna have to take to your council. The hours, yes, the hour. Can you read that a little bit louder? But it was more about us having metered parking until closing time of the bars. And yes, it would increase our enforcement if our hours were later. But again, that's something that does have to go before council. We don't make that determination.
I'll add. Sean, I don't know if you can hear. What we're really looking for is to do this in a strategic fashion that really addresses comprehensively the issues around parking. So one piece is, not doing this piecemeal across the city so that it's, oh, now we've just got the Highlands has parking. And so people who are concerned about that either go to Frankfurt Avenue or somewhere else, wanting to do this in a strategic fashion, wanting to be really thinking about the impact on neighbors. So also rolling this out with making it easier to have restricted parking in neighborhoods, so people don't just walk a couple of blocks and or maybe be drinking while they're doing that. And then also thinking about accessibility issues. Not everybody, especially the way that new parking systems are coming out, not everybody has a smartphone, not everybody wants to do that. What does that look like? And then working with businesses to say, what kind of accommodations can we make so that it's not detracting patrons from coming? Can we give vouchers to the businesses to say, okay, listen, you know, you come in and buy something, you get an hour, a half an hour of parking. So all these things are still in conversation. But, and I really appreciate PARC being here and just teeing up that conversation, because this is gonna be one of the most important venues for getting input that will inform their planning on this. So, and thank you guys for being so responsive.
When's enough tax and other things? And I hate the idea of bringing more parking meters to the Highlands. We have it downtown, you say people say it's better, man, locals don't go downtown because they have to pay for parking. That's a big thing I hear from my guests down there, and they're gonna park in the neighborhood, then you're gonna put restricted parking, you can't park in front of houses. What are we opening up, you know? I would hate it, I would absolutely hate it, man, and I don't see any, I don't know the advantage it brings, other than money for whatever the park used it for. But that's my take. I'm an old man that's been down here for 30 years, and I would hate to see it. But
what can be done about the parking lots that have the big blue sign with the P in it? And so my understanding is it's a private parking organization, and they charge like $20 an hour, and they're completely unused. It's like having completely wasted land there, and people are looking for parking. I just think that should be run out of town.
I might agree with that because that doesn't belong to PARC. It's a private company, and it's whoever owns that lot got that company to manage them. So that's where it falls back. It's actually owner of that land in your area. That
There, and it's not helping the owner.
yeah. Yeah, though I apologize, but that doesn't belong to us. It's PMC. I know who you're talking about.
This is not a question or just a comment. I was small business in the Highlands, 1386 Bardstown Road, but I have had a vehicle in front of my shop. It'll be there when I arrive for the past 6 months. And again, I have very mixed emotions on this issue because I see it from a lot of different stances. But for me personally, I have a vehicle that's been in front of my shop for 6 months. It never leaves. I don't know if there's anything we can do about that.
Yes.
Yes, okay. But it never goes away. It's blue, never stays. But that's just a comment.
Any more? Thank you.
Thank you, Shanzetta. Not an easy topic. We welcome now Brandon Coan, who's going to speak, I think, on behalf of the Friends of Bardstown Road.
Hi, thanks. I'll just, humor me for 2 minutes, because, I was the council person once upon a time, and I will say it's really nice to see all you guys. I just want to say sort of generally, the old guys don't get involved in stuff too much. We obviously will watch and have our own opinions about things, but I'll just say, Ben's been a friend of mine for a long time. I think he's doing a really good job. I've told him that. I'm not just saying that because his mom's here. I'm very supportive of the thing that Ben has done to build on all the progress that we've made over the years. I had dinner with Tom Owen Thursday night. Glad to report he's doing well and more vibrant than any of us in this room, no matter how old we are. He's 85 years old now. And I saw Cassie Chambers Armstrong at an event, I think maybe a week and a half ago, and she's doing really well. So, I see the progress from my time in office, which was now a while ago, 2016, 2017, or 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020. And I'm proud to see the progress that's been made in the Highlands, even though there's been some challenges and you make some forward and some back. The big issues don't ever change, but, Ben's doing a great job. I think the new administration is doing a really good job of, holding some businesses accountable and things we weren't able to get cooperation from several years ago. So I'm generally positive on things. And if you guys remember, if I'm negative on something, I told you. So that's generally how I feel about things. I'm here as a sort of a special envoy to the Friends of Bardstown Road. Do you all know that group? Are you generally familiar with it? They're sort of a nonprofit 501c3 that exists to help support not just businesses like the Highland Commerce Guild, that's sort of more of this group's purview, but they helped support the transformation of the Bardstown Road project when we had the road diet and the bump outs and the plantings and the tree plantings and some of the things to improve sort of the public realm, the built environment specifically. So we're a group of urbanists, and so we appreciate parking policy, and we've read Donald Shoup's books, and we know about the importance of selling parking at a fair market price and that sort of thing. I'm not even on the board. I'm just sort of an advisor. Jackie Cobb, who you all probably know, is the board president. She couldn't make it today. Daniel Makala, I don't know if you all have met him. We actually have an executive director for the first time. So someone whose job is to get paid to work on Bardstown Road, at least part of his professional time, which is a big improvement. And then Brian Goodwin, I think you all know that. You all know his dad, Jim, if you don't know Brian. And Brian's an excellent developer. Highland Fish Market is one of his new tenants. You can see that Brian has replaced, some properties that had vape shops and this and that with, responsible bars, local businesses, and all the kind of things that we want to see. There was a great piece about Brian in Business First a couple of weeks ago. If you didn't see it, he'd probably be embarrassed that I'm promoting it, but he's just done really good work around the city. We want more people like Brian doing business here. Anyway, I'm sort of sent here today because, and correct me if I'm wrong, we were under the impression, the Friends of Bardstown Road, that PARC intends to add hundreds of new metered spaces. She's shaking her head, so I'm not here to debate. We want to get all the facts. Hundreds of new metered parking spaces where there are currently not meters, places where you can slide somewhere and park for free currently. And if you haven't seen the study that PARC referred to, I'd ask them to maybe send it to Ben or to Aaron or to Nick or somebody. Take a look at this study that shows where they've determined they can add more parking spaces to an already pretty heavily metered Highlands area. My concerns here date back to the time when I was a council person. And whether we add more meters or not, I've always thought it was fundamentally unfair that Bardstown Road has parking meters and Frankfurt Avenue doesn't, and that Goss Avenue doesn't, and that no other, neighborhood serving commercial corridor does. I'm not talking about the central business district, which is different. The members of our group have thought that was always an unfair advantage, and I didn't like it. And I would have just assumed pluck all of our meters and had the free parking with the stenciled outlines so you can see where people park like they have on Frankfurt Avenue. So the Friends of Bardstown Road, I don't think has a position that all of the meters need to necessarily be removed, the ones that are there, but we do have some concerns, especially about adding any new meters. Number one, again, I'll just say that again. We don't think it's fair the way it is now, and we certainly don't think it would be fair to expand it unilaterally when even corridors like East Main Street aren't getting metered parking. And I don't really need to expound on that point. You all understand what I'm talking about. Tom does, has made that clear, and sort of other people. The other thing that's important to me is, as you all know, Bardstown Road is still in the midst of a transformation that started several years ago when I was the council person, and Friends of Bardstown Road has been a good steward of and a partner of. I guess the road has changed between Broadway and Bonnycastle. It's been narrowed and there's been some improvements made. And Ben can fill in the facts if I'm wrong here, but our understanding is that there's a new phase of improvements that'll start with, all the full public input and studies and planning to improve Bardstown Road from Bonnycastle or Eastern Parkway, where it sort of stops now, all the way down to Trevilian and Taylorsville. Is that right?
It'll go through Douglas.
Okay, so first of all to the Douglas Loop, and then eventually down to Taylorsville Road and Trevilian, which is a totally different road characteristics than north of the Douglas Loop, and so it won't be exactly the same. And if you can remember back to the Bardstown Road study that we had commissioned when I was a council person, there's plans to make the road safer and better all the way down to the Waterston Expressway. Those preliminary plans that you all know by now get revised with more input and that sort of thing. So a big position of the Friends of Bardstown Road is that we should not be expanding parking south of the current, new Bardstown Road area in any way that preempts the planners and the designers from suggesting improvements to the Phase 2 project. We don't want people to say, well, PARC just put new parking meters in all these places, and so, we can't put a bump out there, or we can't narrow the road here, or we can't add a center turn lane there. We think that like any decision on expanding PARC should wait till after the Bardstown Road improvement expansion is done. which is, that's probably 18 to 24 months till maybe construction is done if we're lucky. And again, like, let Ben correct my facts, but my understanding is that this summer, the planning process is actually going to start on that. So, it wouldn't make any sense to put the cart before the horse, so to speak, with respect to that fact. There's also been some discussion about, this is these are neighborhood serving businesses. Bardstown Road is not the same place it was in the 70s or the 80s or the 90s before e-commerce and Walmarts and, just a change of the retail mix and that sort of a thing. And we still have a lot of local serving businesses where people that live here depend on being able to drop into a business, go to the post office, pick up something at the frame shop, whatever it is, pick up a carryout order. And it's a real burden to not have any, free or discounted parking, whether it's for the first 30 minutes or for an hour or something like that. And we think that TARC's sort of program generally is oppressive, with all due respect. They've just raised the rates recently, including the rates for parking tickets. If you happen to run out of a meter, there's a problem with the meter. And we found better models for parking authorities across the country that we're really interested in sharing some details. Omaha, Nebraska has one that we're just in love with, where it's cheaper, it's easier, they make you pay more the longer you're there. So maybe if you're there, in Omaha, you're there for an hour, first hour it's $1, the second hour it's $1. You want to stay for 3 hours, now it's $2. And it's sort of a graduated rate, just a smart system. And that's obviously not something that would apply system-wide across the city, not just to Bardstown Road. But we want to see some policy in any parking program, especially any expanded parking program, that has some grace for people to run their errands, their local errands, because this is not like downtown. And, we don't need to get into all those details today. Again, we talked about the importance of making sure that any increased parking meters is done with other parking investments and parking options. I know there's been some further work done on the residential parking program, which I explored when I was a city council person, and which kind of exists in Louisville and obviously exists in big cities across the country. But it's not an easy program still to administer. And we want to make sure it's coordinated, or that any other changes or investments in parking for the public is coordinated here. I mean, everybody knows that you can sort of park at Mid-City Mall for free. There's nothing that would have stopped Sandy Metz years ago from signing up with public management people or whatever and having no parking. Or, the CVS sort of doesn't let you park over in the Douglas Loop. And, especially with Mid-City Mall, there's just a lot of parking issues up in the air, and we don't want to jump headfirst into an expansion of parking meters without them all being considered. And if they're considered, we want them done at the right time and in a way that's fair to people. So, again, I'm not here to debate, although we can do whatever you want. And I want to make sure everybody has good information, but sort of my goal here from the Friends of Bardstown Road was to sort of broach our concerns with this group. And, because if push does come to shove in terms of, PARC is going to do something that we think is bad for the neighborhood, then we'll oppose it. So, but that being said, we talked to Ben. He's aware of our conversations. He's, I think, probably helped facilitate this today. And, we expect that this will just sort of proceed according to good process and with everybody involved and with people's voices being heard. So are there any questions? I mean, I know I, for one, would love to get some clarity on PARC's plans, because I said I thought they were going to add hundreds of meters, and I sort of saw a head shaking over there. So if you guys are just not going to expand, we could put together everything I just said, and I'll report back to my group. But again, we just sort of want to broach the issue today, make sure we start to get the facts on the table. Any questions for me or about the Friends of Bardstown Road? Okay, you can check out our website, Friends of Bardstown Road. If you're not members, we'd love your support.
I got a question on the PARC study. Is it online?
That's a question for the PARC people.
Is there any plan to have it online?
Not at the time, but if you would like it, I can get your information.
Thank you.
Brandon, I appreciate you talking, man. It's such a negative. These freaking meters are negatives to the Highlands. I don't see any positive whatsoever. I'm a little more blunt and against it, and I see it. It is. It's very obtrusive on you downtown. And you're going to get that in the Highlands for what? Like you said, the meters behind the bank now. It's like $2 an hour. Not the park, but everything's just getting taxed galore. The bridge, crossing the bridge now, it goes up every freaking 6 months. What are we doing?
I
What are we doing? You want small people to come to the Highlands and open up businesses and be creative? You can do it a little bit easier in Germantown. The rent's less expensive. Yeah, it's a terrible slope in my mind.
I'll just say that my personal experiences, I agree with you. I have an office downtown at 6th and Main Street. I have a parking space in the Market Street garage at 7th and Market. Occasionally, it's pouring rain or something else, or you want to use a meter. And even as a business owner and who has an office down there every day, I'm sort of terrified of the parking meters because I get dinged for now a $30 ticket instead of a $15 ticket if God forbid it's pouring rain and I can't get to my car 5 minutes in advance. And I do think it is hurtful to downtown and not helpful to downtown. And I'm not afraid to say that. PARC has to raise revenue to pay off bonds for parking garages and otherwise operate. And, they are a money-making organization, which, in my opinion, sort of contradicts the goals of TARC, which should be to get people out of their cars and under buses and that sort of thing. But anyway, again, cities have to have parking. We have had a historically well-run, I don't know about the finances, but good people that I've worked with over the years, reasonable parking authority. These seem like good, nice people to us. And, you can have policy debates and that's how things get done. But, I'm glad they're here today to start to hear from people in the Highlands. Yeah.
I was gonna say working for, with some of the patrons we get, a number of them say they're coming from all over the West, that they would go to the library, but they have to pay to park. So they are, it's kind of changing the makeup of even who's going to the main line. Because they're choosing to bypass it, there are other places where they can pay for park. And a lot of people with the library, they're not on the ticket, and it's really, it's a burden for them when they have to do that.
I just want to reiterate one thing. I mean, I like your comment. Our group is a bunch of urbanists. We appreciate that parking, market rate parking, makes sense and does have some benefits to business. It does keep cars from being parked there forever. It does have some turnover, but that doesn't hold true to your neighborhood if you're the only one with that policy and people can go park on Frankfurt Avenue or Goss Avenue or wherever. It has to be. That's only if the whole system is like that and if it's priced accordingly. And I'll just say, it's already on the books under LMCO. And I know that Stephanie was directed to LMPD because that's a towing issue. It's a police issue, not a park issue, or, not ultimately a park issue. You're already not allowed to park in one space for 24 hours at a time under the code of ordinances. You just can't do that. So even if there's not a sign that says you can't park there for 1 hour or 2 hours, or whatever, cars are already not just allowed to park on Bardstown Road. And so it's not true that if there's not metered spaces, cars can just park there forever.
Businesses that are serving the neighborhood and people needing to just run in, run out. And I have perspective on both sides because I have 2 stores. One is in New and one is in Douglas Loop. And the New store, that area is so heavily tourist right now. A ton of people that are working at hotels, at distilleries, at restaurants. It needs parking meters. It's the only way that customers coming down are going to be able to have a place to park throughout the day. The Douglas Loop, I feel like that's a very good example. Both myself, I own the refillery, and my neighbor Monet's, we're really trying to essentially make the Loop a desirable place again that people in the neighborhood like to come up to. My business model in particular, if somebody's coming to refill a single bottle of dish soap and they have to sit there with their phones and, text the parking spot just to literally run in for not even 60 seconds. I feel like it's not only counterproductive to the Loop, but all of Bardstown Road, which we all know. There's so many vacant properties, that the whole area is trying to be revitalized. And I think having a system like what you talked about, that maybe somebody can either get a voucher from the business or your first
even if it was your first 10 minutes, is free. That's enough time to run into a business like mine, to run in and get a cup of coffee. But I just think that we need some sort of solution that benefits the businesses and is more, and the people in the neighborhoods that are trying to patronize and ultimately bring more businesses too. And
I can say, our group doesn't have all the policy solutions. They are out there around the country. Again, we have a presentation from Omaha that we think is really compelling that we can send to Ben's office if he wants to share with your all's group. You can read the study, you can read that. But I think your point is one of the ones I tried to make. The central business district in Nilu and Bardstown Road are different. Like, they are different. They should have different parking policies. We shouldn't be treated like them. It shouldn't cost the same. It shouldn't be. So anyway, I think Nick maybe needs to move on, or else this will become a lunch meeting, but thank you all for your time.
Thanks, Brandon. It seems like parking becomes a never-ending issue, and which is in one sense a good thing. We need to try to find the best solutions. Next, we'd like to talk a little bit about what's so important to the Highlands and to the Highland Commerce Guild in particular, are current businesses as well as new businesses that open up in the Highlands. To me, good quality businesses are the lifeblood of the Highlands, so we always encourage people to locate here and open up. We do have with us this morning Ashley with the Highland Fish Market. If you want to come on up, Ashley, and say a few words. As some of you may know, the Highland Fish Market, I think, may have started in the Highlands many years ago. It was down across from Kroger's on Bardstown Road. So come on up and give us your all's opening date and a little information.
Hi, I'm Ashley Bedingfield. I'm one of the owners of Highland Fish Market. My husband and I, along with our friends Mark and Sarah Hart, bought Highland Fish Market in 2023. We bought the location out in Middletown and pretty quickly knew that we wanted to bring it back to the Highlands. And so we've been working to do that. It's been a wild ride learning about seafood and all the things you can do with that. We also bought Lori's Fish Market in Chenoweth Square, so feel free to buy it either. But we will be hoping to do our soft opening second weekend of July. That's the goal. We have all the construction things going and everything's looking good. We just have to have the powers that be check us off to say we can sling fish. So that's what we plan to do. Last week we had an oyster event with Rose Hill right next door. It was well received. We've got some things like that to do around the community with oyster tastings and stuff like that. And we can get any kind of seafood you want. Just let us know. Never hurts to ask. But yeah, we're happy to be back in the Highlands and be a part of this community. We'll be in the shops of Deer Park, right next to the Cat Cafe. Yep. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
And Market has very graciously donated a $25 gift card, which we'll draw a number in the lucky winner. Only Linda. All right, we're going to try to wrap up here shortly. We don't want to have to pay overtime for over an hour. So you might ask yourself sometimes, what can I do to help support local businesses? And obviously the obvious answer is just frequent those businesses as much as you can. But there are other things that can be done. And we have a Highland Commerce Guild board member, Stephanie Riley, is going to talk a little bit about how you can do that. She, as you may or may not know, is the owner of Surprise Lily Boutique. So come on up, Stephanie.
Thank you. All right, we're gonna put this group to work today. Are you all ready? Sure. Okay. So we, as as the Heinz Commerce Guild, want to ensure that we are patronizing all our business in many different ways. But one thing I've learned now as a small business owner is that Google reviews help immensely, especially for our out-of-town visitors. So I want you to brainstorm for about just 30 seconds. This past month, is there a business that you have gone to along the corridor that you loved what you ate? The atmosphere was great. The customer service was phenomenal. So brainstorm in your head a great business that you recently supported that just did a 5-star job. Okay. Jack, ooh, yeah. Do we have some? Okay, I like it. Jack Fry's was delicious. Good. What else? Who else did it? O'Shea's, yes, Tom.
Fine wine.
Vine Wine Bar. I love it. I love it.
To go.
What was it?
Place to go.
Place to go. Okay. What we got?
Well, for again,
All right. All right.
anniversary this year.
I love it. I love it. So a lot of great businesses out there. But let me ask you a question. Did anybody leave a Google review of these? Oh, we got one. All right. Well, today we are going to give you a few fun facts and also show you how you could proactively support a business. Okay. Google reviews mean a lot. Just a few stats for you. 97% of people search online before visiting a business. Do you all do that? You search online, you see what's up. How many Google reviews do they have? 88% of customers trust online reviews like a personal recommendation. So when Google reviews are done or a review is given online, it means a lot to businesses and they trust those reviews. Businesses with more and better reviews rank higher on Google Maps and in local searches. So today we have 30 people, I counted you all, 30 people on the audience. What about if today, right here, right now at this meeting, we said we're going to put out 30 5-star reviews into the Highlands businesses, okay? Can we do it? All right, so here's how we do it. I need everybody to get out their phone, all right? Everybody get out their phone. And some of you probably have like Google Maps, but I'm going to play a little video for you just to kind of show you how easy this can be done. And maybe you can't do it at the time allotted, but maybe you can go back home and figure it out. But just to show you how to make this possible.
Ready?
We're ready.
All right. This is a video. It's less than 2 minutes.
Is there sound on?
Okay.
Let's see. Oh.
Let's see.
Where are my technology friends? Right there. There we go. Well,
There we go.
Best way to start this is by giving on your Google. Friend Stephanie here, and I'm going to teach you how quickly and easily give a Google review to one of your favorite Highland businesses. Google reviews are so important to the small business community, and if you have 1 minute to give, it is quick and easy. So one of the best ways that you can do this is by getting on your Google Maps. So if you have the Google Map app, you can click that and then search here for a small business that you love. Today, I am going to search for Impellizzeri's Pizza shop we visit from time to time. That's in our neighborhood. And as you can see, I found the Impellizzeri's Pizza on Bardstown Road. I'm looking at their hours, and then if you scroll down just a bit, you will see something that says rate and review. Well, of course, we like Impellizzeri's Pizza, so I'm going to give them today a 5-star review for food, service, and atmosphere, and I am going to post that. If you do not have the Google Maps app, another way you can do this is by quickly getting in your internet browser and just searching a business that you love. Another business we love as a family is Casino Cookie. As you can see, they have a 4.9 review rating, but let's add to that, and we are going to rate and review them today with 5 stars. So again, I can post that, I can give a little description, I can even put a picture, but I know it's been very helpful for my business. And many people, when they come into the shop, especially tourists, will say, oh, I found you via Google. So let's go out, let's think of some businesses that we love, and let's submit a Google review. Thanks, everyone.
All right, everybody do it? Everybody gonna do it? All right, let's patronize, let's give a review for our businesses. Thank you.
All right, Stephanie, all good information. The next thing I want to talk a little bit about is, as hopefully most of you all are aware of, the Highland Commerce Guild puts on the Bardstown Road Aglow every December, always the first Saturday in December. And we're asking you to save the date. We were actually going to have an aglow in July. And this is to kind of support the upcoming aglow in December. And stores will be offering special discounts. Restaurants will be having specials. There will be 2 free trolleys going up and down the Highlands, Bardstown Road, courtesy of Trolley DeVille. And, and also part of our purpose for doing this is July can be a little bit of a shopping doldrums in the Highlands. Sometimes during the midsummer, people are just not getting out on the street and doing shopping. So this will encourage people to come out and take advantage of some of the specials, as well as maybe hop aboard the trolley. We do have a poster, you should see on the table, a poster, and we invite you to, if you have a place to display that, please take one of those at least. And we will be coming through the Bardstown Road and distributing those as well to locations. So again, save that date. It's July the 26th. And that is the Saturday, and it's a good day to get out and take advantage of the weekend. We've come to the point, and let's try to keep this brief if we can, but if anyone has any shameless promotions and our other comments to make, we will take those at the moment. Anybody? Hey, Mark.
Purpose today was to make the announcement that the Bonnie Castle Club of Louisville now has a foundation, which is a finance stream, and it's 501c3 organization, and it's looking for smaller 501c organizations that we can help support in the area to perhaps create seed money for them. But we don't want, we're not looking for something that has a $1 million endowment. We're looking for small nonprofits that we can help at this point. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
If I may, anyone that's familiar with National Night Out, comes around August of every year. This year it will be on August the 5th. It's formerly at the Peterson Zumino House. We are now moving it back, moving it to the 5th Division property over there, 2301 Douglas Boulevard, directly across from Community Center at PARC, Texas. It's going to be bigger and better than ever. It's going to be a 3-4 hour event, August the 5th, beginning at 5 o'clock. Now reminded of the next meeting. So you're all invited.
Okay, any other comments or shameless promotions? Amy?
I just want to let you all know I have a children's book that just came out, called Into the Blue County Adventure. And I'm having a storytelling event at Carmichael's on Frankfurt Avenue this Saturday at 11 a.m. And it's also available at Carmichael's Kids here in the Highlands. There's 2 versions, paperback, which is here, and also a hardcover. Appreciate your support.
Okay, thank you, oh, yes.
My name's Patty Reno, and I want to tell you about an organization called Stronghold. You might know it. Most of you probably know someone who's had a stroke and has disability because of that. Or perhaps Parkinson's, or some of the many things. There's an organization found, and I brought some cards and I'll put them up there. It's a facility which has totally adapted to strengthening the body of someone in a wheelchair, someone who's relearning how to walk, one with Parkinson's who's having a hard time getting out of a chair. It's a wonderful organization. It's a 501c3. And the people that I know who have had this kind of thing, especially if they're going to live it for the rest of their life, get depressed and lonely. Gathering at that gym is really helpful. So I can start for your friends and relatives.
All right, yes.
Hi, Michael Carr, Highlands Community Ministries. As we are all abundantly aware, it is hot outside. It is very hot outside, and one of the things that we provide in the community is we help families keeping their utilities shut off, right? We have people who come into our offices every day asking for help with that. Some of them already had their utilities shut off. Now is not the time. People did not have air conditioning. All of that to say, we have a little campaign that we are wrapping up over the last 6 days. It's called Light Up the Block. We're looking for folks to donate $10 a month just to keep that fund going so that we can help people keep their AC on. We originally were trying to get to 22 members and we blew through that and we're now at 26 and we're trying to get to 30, which I think feels really doable. We have to do that by the end of day Monday. I have these little flyers with a QR code that you can scan. Fun fact, you may have been in one of these meetings in the past where we talked about this, where people thought we were literally asking people to light up their houses, whenever really, I'm just trying to keep track of how many people on this fun little graphic, right? I have been called a bird murderer this month. I thought that I was, trying to get people to change, migratory bird habit and putting on their lives. Rest assured, we're not, I know, yes, same. We're not asking anybody to turn on any of their lights. We're just keeping track of our progress on this fancy little graphic. And if you have $10 a month to help people keep their AC on, we would greatly appreciate it. I have a bunch of these. I can hand out, scan the QR code, or go to our website. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Yes.
Just really quick thing, if you don't know, July is Plastic Free July. It is a nationwide campaign. It's the second year in a row that Mayor Greenberg is endorsing it. So I will be at his press conference, which is July 1st. And if you have not checked out with Hillary, Plastic Free July is a great time to come and see what we're all about. And we've got some fun notions on in July. Even if it's one, she is low in July.
Okay, thank you. All right, folks, we have basically reached the end of our meeting and just have one final announcement. For July, we're not going to meet here at Gilda's Club. We're going to have lunch with the mayor. That'll be July the 30th. So everyone is invited to come. You do have to make a reservation. It will be at the Uptown Cafe again on July 30th. So it's a great opportunity to get up close and personal to the mayor and ask any questions. So thank you very much, everyone, for coming. Go forth and have a great day and stay cool.